I don't know, like 45 minutes of a video and me beating my head off the wall trying to figure out how to do math. This is nice. This feels good. One of those few moments that feel satisfactory. The other 45 minutes was just pain. Alrighty, so we're upstairs where we finished our foundries from our last episode. And we need to start working on our splits to get all the steel parts working. So I did a little math, and here's what it came out to. So the 720 in total, we need 450 steel for pipes and 720 for the beams. And there's a little math numbers. It's basically saying we need 7.5 foundries to get all the stuff for the pipes, and then another 4.5, which comes out to 12. So instead of trying to merge this whole line together and then split it, all I did was I went to this and I put in a splitter here. So this is 60, which is going to be our half. So this is split down to 30 and 30. And you have 30 on this merger and then 30 going to this merger. It goes through the wall, whatever. But that means that you have 4 mergers here and a half. So this is your 4.5 merged into the 270 line. And then you have this merger, which I'm going to tie in. It's technically 1.5. Plus the 6 foundries over here. Once I tie that in together, it should be at the 450. And then it's just a matter of getting that split down into all the constructors and getting it everywhere we need to go. So I'm going to merge that over and try to make it look pretty, and then I'm going to get started on laying out the constructors and see what I can actually fit up here. Alright, so I went a little brain dead, got really confused on what I was trying to do, and I ended up getting real distracted and forgot to give you guys an update. So I've made a lot of progress here, and I'm getting close to like the final product for the steel pipes. So we need about 300 in total, 90 being for the heavy modular frames, and then 210 going just to the encased steel beams. So there's a lot that's going on here. I've decided that the best way to do this is to do it as 10 constructors instead of 15. I've overclocked these all to 150%, so it's going to output 30 to make it just a nice even number. But the main problem I'm having right now is getting it all split down. It's a 10 split, so it's really not that hard. It's from 450 total down to 45s, which seems like it's okay, but it's still got that weird 5 factor where it's trying to make everything difficult. So what I ended up having to do is I can show you this side, it's a little easier. I have a splitter right here, and this is just for these two, and then a splitter for these two, and then these two on the end. It's the same over there, but these two on the end have their own splitter here. So they're still in line as 5. I'm trying to avoid that split being confusing, and it doesn't. It still makes it stupid. But so what we're doing instead is I couldn't figure out how to get it split evenly. I've tried doing like numbers of 2 and 3 to get it down to 10 evenly, and I just kept getting weird overviews or remaining left over, like the 37.5 or the 112.7 or some stupid number. So what I decided to do is, and I have no idea if this is going to work. In my brain, everything says it should work. So I've taken a smart splitter here, and I've made the right output steel ingot. And this is a 270 line. If I do 270, I get 150 on the other side. So if this is a priority, it's going to pull a maximum absolute 270. The remaining was left over is the only place it can go be down this other line, which is 150. Now 150 can split into these evenly, I believe. 45, 45. I thought I had this figured out. 270. Yeah, see, this is my whole point. I'm getting really caught up in the numbers and really confused. I'm just trying to make a good split. I think that I don't have to... I think I have to put a merger here to get this figured out. I'm very confused. I'm going to keep looking at it, and I'll be back when I figure out numbers. Yeah, it literally, it's just been 5 seconds. I have it written down on my sheet right in front of me. It's not 150, it's 180. Which 180 will perfectly, autosave, will perfectly make 4 of these. So this is 180 here. So the 45, 90, 135, 180. So that's all good. That means that these 6 are powered from the 270 line. So this is what I have going on over here. I have a splitter right here. I put some nice frames in here, and I've added the splitters. I'm going to put all the lines underneath here and try to make it organized, because there's really not a whole lot that has to go down here anyway. So I'll make that all nice and pretty. And then up here we just have a 3 split, so it goes from the 270 down to 90 apiece. And then so 90 split 45, 90 split 45, and then over here it's going to go into this splitter, which I had to figure out how to get around this belt issue right here, and then once I do that, it should all work properly. And then as opposed to getting it organized, I just merged 3 here. So you have 30 of the steel pipes coming out since it's overclocked, and that is the 90 for your heavy modular frames here. So this will get put through the wall and transported to where I put my manufacturers, and the rest of these is the 210 that I'll need to make the encased steel beams. Which, let me show you what I did with that too. So these were our concrete makers, which I've talked about in the last video. So what I did was I took the concrete that was coming out of here and I ran it through this little lip here, through this nice architecture framing stuff. It runs underneath here out of the way, and it goes through here, which is our like transport conveyor wall where I just cram stuff. I got 2 of these in these factories because I'm bad at planing stuff out. It runs underneath here. Now down here, this is right below the, if I can get a good one. Yep. So this is right below that room, which I can wall this off and I'm going to make it more pretty, but this is pretty much where everything is at. So I can run a lot of the conveyors and everything that I need to and sort it in the floor below and make this room a lot cleared out, as opposed to just putting splitters everywhere and trying to figure everything out. All these machines I have in here already are not going to stay in here. It's just so I can get a glimpse at the amount of work that I'm having to do, which at this point, the only work I really have done so far is these back 10 right here, which is our steel pipes. So there is still a lot to go. I'm already like, I think like 5 minutes in recording, and there is still a ton to do. I'm just finishing one part right now. So I'm going to go ahead and get back to that. I have a lot of progress to make in this, so I can't spend a ton of time talking, and I need to get a lot of it done, because I don't want to spend like 6 videos having to do all of this. I'm going to get back to work, and I'll come back in a second. Alright, so we hooked up everything, and it looks like it's already good. We have blue lights everywhere, which is exactly what we wanted. I do need to make the place for this to go, and I'll probably just have to tie it into the sink on the other side of this wall. But this all looks like it's running properly. I'm going to move on to the next set of constructors, which is going to be our steel beams, which I should be setting up probably out here because I don't have any more space on this floor unless I want to add to this over here. I put a little archway here, and I think it looks good. I might change if I need to, but let's keep it moving. All right, so we just set up our steel beams. I went really simple. I've never tried this method before, and I believe that it works. Maybe I'm wrong, but I literally just took smart splitters and put the left output of steel ingot, and then put a higher tier belt with overflow. So this is always going to pull 60. And this is always going to pull what's ever left over. So it's set right now to be a perfect number. This is the half one. I need 4.5. This is set to 50% at the end. So hopefully it's just stay green and they never run out and everything's good. And we don't back that up. So all these up here is literally just going to become screws. I'm not going to use these for anything else other than to make screws. And it probably still won't be enough to produce what we're actually going to need to run this. So this kind of puts the capstone on the steel production for a little while. I'll put resource sinks down and I'll dump whatever is left so they can continuously run, but I need to start working on the other stuff, which is going to be getting the encased steel beams made, which is partially steel, I understand, but it's more just we're done with actually messing with the steel ingots, and that whole system should constantly run. I'm going to keep checking up on it and make sure that everything's okay, but we're going to move on to our next step, which is going to be our encased steel beams. So let's get into that. Alright, so we're over in our main room, which I've kind of cleared it up a little bit. Basically not at all. I only took out the 10 constructors that we've technically placed up in our steel production up there. So I moved that out of the way, and I've organized these assemblers right now. I was originally going to do like 5, but then I looked at it, and that's a 1-to-5 split, and I think I'd rather eat lead-based paint than do a 1-to-5 split. So I found a way to overclock this to just 125%, and now it's going to be 6 of them, which it's fine. It looks okay. It's even. There's no 1-to-5 split, and this is like 20 times easier than trying to do the 1-to-5. So I split them up, made it look nice and pretty. I did the same thing with the architecture frames back here, kind of organized everything. It sticks out a little bit, but you know what? That's not a problem. Not too bad. You can still walk back here and kind of inspect stuff. I might Throw in a little bit of doodads here and there to make it look nice and pretty. See if I can... There's like a good place for a crafting bench back here in the middle of nowhere. Ah, that looks great. Looks like home. So we're going to continue moving though. I've already hooked up the concrete. As you can see, I ran it underneath the floor, just like I talked about. And now it's just a matter of getting the steel pipes from up there through the transport corridor, which is right here, and then underneath to the bottom. So we just have to get it into, honestly, it really bothers me. We just have to get it into here, which I believe like right there is the top of that room. So I just gotta get it merged into here, which it's on the wrong side, but I can figure that out. It'll all be okay. Drag it all the way down, go to the other room, and then we should be able to start that up and start making case steel beams. So I'm gonna get working on that, and I'll get you an update here in a second. Alright, so we just piped everything over here. Whatever. Okay, so it's all over here now, and we just need to power it. I got rid of those structures because those were the steel beams. And then the only thing we have left is all this over here, which is basically just making frames. So this is going to be a whole shebang project that's going to fit in with our plastic stuff on the other side. Our rubber, actually, for the coated reinforced plates. We're going to hook all the power up here, get this running to make sure everything looks good, and then we'll start working on all this over here. Okay, so we've been working on our plate constructors, which we can actually take these out now. I'll clean this up in a second, but I was watching our encased steel beams that we're making here, and we're still having problems getting concrete over here, which should make sense because this is 25 per minute off of 6 of these, which comes out to 150, and I should be producing 80 and 80, so 160. So I should have technically an overflow of concrete, and for some reason these are shutting down. So I need to backtrack this whole line and try to figure out where the problem is, because something is not right. I don't know. I originally thought it was doing it just because it was still trying to fill up, but there's something's going on here. So I'm going to backtrack here and see if I can find the problem. Alright, so apparently this is only a normal node. I thought it was a pure node. So these are requiring 120 apiece. So technically we're only making 80 a minute, and that's why that's shut down. 120. So this is taking 240, or yeah, 240. That's why I was getting confused. So I'm just gonna overclock this, and that should fix our problem for now. I'll have to come back to it later and maybe deal with it, but this is fine for now. As long as I don't need these power shards, I'll be all right. So we're gonna let this run. That should fill that up. It's moving a lot better now. We're gonna go on to what we have been working on here, which is this iron plate stuff. So this 240 smelters we finally used. We literally have it just glitching through the floor right now to the top, which is fine. It's not that big of a deal. We're really not going to see it. But right above that room, if I can get up here, is where we put all these constructors. And it's kind of cramped in here, but there's still enough space to get around. So the entire system's already set up. It just needs power. It's a pretty basic plate thing. If you need me to show you how to set it up, I mean, I'll probably make a separate video. It's not that complicated. It's just constructors. But this is set up, and it's all good. And we're going to power it and connect that to the right hole because I'm stupid and blind, I guess. We're going to get this set up, and then we should be at a point now where the only thing we really need to do is get the rubber to make our reinforced plates, and then convert that into frames with the screws, and then get everything hooked up to the manufacturer. So we're getting really, really close now. It's just a matter of getting rubber tied into the transport line, setting up these assemblers, which really shouldn't be that difficult, and then setting these assemblers, and then making sure we have enough screws. Screws may be a problem. That may be a much bigger problem than what I expected to be, but we just have to get into it and find out. So we're going to keep moving along with this. We're going to head over to our oil processing plant after we hook up the power lines to our iron plate constructors, and then we're going to figure out what we got to do to get rubber over here. I don't know how much I've explained already, but we're going to be using this adhered iron plate recipe. That's what we need the rubber for. We could have used any number of these. This probably would have been okay if I had copper over here. The main one that I'm avoiding is these two because they require screws, and I'm already consuming almost like 3,000 screws between all of these being made. There's 140 per minute on 6 of these, and then you have all these over here, which I believe are just a flat. No, that's the wrong computer. Yeah, that's 200 per minute. So between all these and everything that I already have going on already, it's a lot of screws, and I really didn't want to have to add 12 constructor worth of screws into all of this too. So just to keep it a little bit simple, I already have rubber set up. It's already over there, so it's just a matter of doing the logistics, which isn't a problem. I need to use the rubber for something. So I just wanted to explain that real quick and just kind of get everybody on the same page on why I need rubber to make the reinforced iron plates. So like I said, I'm gonna head over there and get that figured out, and I'll give you an update in a second. All right, so we're up on top of the base right now. We're trying to check everything out. I ran the rubber from where it was over there to here, but as you can see already, it's running right through the center of this, and I don't think I can squeeze it in tight enough next to this plastic line to really get it to hide, and this isn't even hidden either. So I think there's a high chance that we're gonna redo this truck station. I don't like that it's here, and I really would like to put it on this side of the base and essentially have the center transfer line to get the coal, the compacted coal. The coal can stay where it's at, but the compacted coal needs to get over to the truck station that would be moved here. Then we would essentially merge this station and this station, and then build a highway through here, because that way that would put the rubber and the plastic closer to where I need it, and I can just route it underneath the floor back into this transfer room here, and it'll go right into that. Getting into this room would be difficult, but I can probably try to figure something out. I might be able to get through the floor to get it come up through a conveyor lift here. But I think that the base overall would end up looking a lot better if I were to move that and make a highway through this part of it. But I just made like a whole 20-minute video doing the whole truck station, and it's gonna take a lot of work to rework all this stuff, and it's not something that I can do in this video. So I think that we're gonna leave it how it is for now, with running through the middle of this, and in my free time I'll get it all moved and rearranged if I decide to do that, and hopefully that'll make everything look a lot better, and it's gonna get rubber out of the middle of our front of our base. So I just want to give you guys an update on my little thought process here and kind of where I'm at. I'm already at a point where I'm like 20 minutes in recording total, and I know some of it's I gotta trim and some of it's gotta redo, so it's more like probably 15 minutes, but it's getting to the point where this should probably be the end of the video just based on my general duration, and we're gonna keep going because I really like the idea of getting this done in one video, but there's a lot to do still. I have 18 more assemblers to place, and then I have to route all the manufacturers too, which is gonna be a whole nother problem. So I don't know, we'll see what we get done. If we have to make a part 3 to this video, that's fine. We're gonna get started though, and we're gonna start placing some assemblers down. I ran that rubber through, and it's right here on this line. This is the underneath. We have our steel pipes and our concrete, so it's right here. We're going to lift it up the backside of the base, and we're going to put the assemblers up there because that's the only place that I really have that's big enough to support 12 full assemblers. And it's going to be honestly probably just a lazy setup when it comes to the splitting and everything, because the recipe requires like maybe 3 rubber a minute. Yeah, 3.75. I'm not gonna split a 60 line all the way down to 3.75. It doesn't need to be that exact. We're gonna overkill it. We won't need that much. It's all gonna be good. So it's gonna be a little bit lazier, but it'll be okay. So I'm gonna get that all set up, then I'll come back and I'll show you guys what I came up with. All right, so just showing you guys a little proof of concept. I know I've used these frame foundations like left and right in this video, but I've just now started using them, and these things are phenomenal. Like I was talking in the steel video about how I wish I had a little gap here where I could put a splitter. If I just build one of these, I can press it right up against it at nice right angles. Gonna build on the foundation. Most of these are designed to fit well in between. Yeah, see, this fits like exactly on a 1x2. It's just a little gap here, which isn't a problem, and you can just back right up to it. And this is just one wide the whole way down. It fits perfect. Put the splitters, put all this stuff. If I don't have additional splitting, this works great. So I'm not going to have this because I'm going to overflow the crap into the system, because there's just no need to really worry about it that much. But either way, I'm going to keep using this. I'm literally just going to repeat this 5 more times down, and then I'll get everything piped into here and get these running, get them merged, get them all running and good, and then I can start moving on to the next step, which will be converting our adhered iron plates into modular frames. It's going to require all the screws. So I got to look into what that's going to be to make everything that I need. I'm gonna repeat this, get this all wired up, set up, and I'll get you an update here in a second. All right, so we got everything hooked up, and you're gonna notice that a lot of these are running. The reason it is partly because the way I set it up, I didn't do a straight split. So this isn't getting iron plates, but the iron plates are coming in. It's just gonna take some time. I ran all these splitters as left and right outputs, and then put the overflow in the center. So I was gonna fill these two on the end first, which is already getting really close. The plate's already filled up. It's gonna go on to the next one. We'll start filling this one up, and then it'll go on, so on, so on. And I'm not really worried about it not getting all the way to the end, just because there is so much input to what we're actually using. Like, it's requiring 3.75, and we have 12 here, so it's only taking, I don't know, off the top of my head, maybe like 45, if that. And we're putting in 60, and then over here we have 140 of these, and we only require 120. So we're way over the input on both the ingredients. It's just a matter of letting it sit here long enough to fill up, and then it should be running at max capacity. We should have our 45 reinforced iron plates per minute, which is exactly what we need. And now it's just a matter of getting our next part set up, and then figuring out how many screws we're going to need to fill that. We're going to start by taking these are being dumped down the sink right now, which I believe is around 720. I'm going to have to go ahead and check out that number because I'm not 1000% sure on how much screws are coming out of here. But we're gonna tear these down and start hooking up our next set of assemblers and see where we're at with our screw situation. And then hopefully pretty soon here we should have all of our parts made for our manufacturer. Well, I'm gonna get working on that, try to figure out the numbers, and I'll be back in a second. And of course that means that we're done with this section of assemblers. We're down to our final piece, just the heavy modular frames, or sorry, the regular modular frames. And after that, it's filling up these bad boys. Getting real close now. Alrighty, so it is several days later. I'm trying to pick up kind of the pieces of what I was doing before I got off, but I have set up the reinforced iron plates here, which is all this stuff. It's not running properly because there's nowhere to go, but I'm hooking up the heavy modular frames. So what I did real simple was I took 6 of these, so 6 of these doing 3.75 come out to 22.5. These are 7.5, I believe, for the reinforced iron plates. So it should be a perfect split between the 3. So yeah, 7.5. So then 3 of these will need 6 of this, and then the other 3 over here will need 6 on the other side. So I have routed them all the way over here. It's not pretty. I'm just getting it set up to make sure that it runs. Then I'm going to come back through and fix all of it later. The biggest reason that I'm doing this is just the amount of time that it's taking to actually complete all this. I'm going to have to cut some corners here, because if I was going to make it perfect and pretty right away, it would take me so long to get it done. So we're cutting a little bit of corners. It's not pretty. It will need some work in the future, and we'll get that worked out. But I just care mostly about the functionality of the factory first, and then we'll go from there. So with all this set up, this should be supplied. It's just a matter of getting the screws. So we need 140 times 6, which I do the math in my head, is, I don't know, it's a lot. It's over 700 at least. I think it's like 820. Maybe 840, might be wrong, I'm not sure. But we're gonna get into figuring out all the screws, and once we have this hooked up, I'm probably just gonna run a screw manifold with an overflow at the end over here, and then just pipe that into a resource sink, or maybe loop it around to continue to get merged into there. I'm not sure what I'm gonna do exactly, but I'm really not trying to get these down to perfect numbers, especially at 140. It's coming off in 2 different recipes between these steel screws and the regular screws that we have, and the numbers are just not gonna work without an overflow manifold. So that's my plan. I'm gonna get that all set up. I'm gonna probably box this in when I'm done, and then I'll get you guys an update here in a second. And then as soon as we finish this, we should be on to the last part, which is gonna be hooking everything up into our manufacturer. So long-winded as it is, we're gonna get back into it, and we're gonna see what we can figure out. Alrighty, you guys ready for some big numbers that's not gonna make any sense to you guys? So we made our overflow manifold here. We took the smart splitters. We're starting off with the Mark IV line, which is a 720. We're going to max out that line and make sure that we have everything that we possibly can through mergers to get that at full capacity. So we're going to start off with 720 coming in. We're going to get 140 off of this, 140 off of this, and then 140 off of this. That is going to come back to a total of, do the numbers real quick. Going to pull 420 off of that line. It's going to go down from 720 down to 300. Which At that point, we're going to run a Mark III line fully loaded off the top of this. Alrighty, you guys ready for a bunch of numbers that's not going to make any sense to you? So we're going to start off with this Mark IV line on the bottom. This is going to be a 720 fully maxed out line. We're going to split that off 3 separate times. It's going to use a total of 420 off the 720 line, leaving us 300 left. Then we're going to take a Mark III line, which is 270, plus the 300 we have overflowed, giving us 570 to run the last 3. We've already stated that we only need 420 for this, which gives us a whole lot of overflow. I was going to run another 720 line, the Mark IV, but I was really worried that it was going to overflow this line and it was going to back everything up. So I tiered it down one to Mark III to give it the 570 or whatever it is, and then merged into here, which is going to be less capacity for this belt than what is capable of running. It's more than these can supply or use, and then it's less than this belt can hold, which puts us all the way at the end, which is a simple just screw to the left and then an overflow. So everything else that's over the capacity is going to run out the back. We should be getting a total of about 150 screws left over at the end, which for right now is probably going to get dumped down a sink, but we're probably going to reroute that into our manufacturers downstairs once we get to our next step. The main thing we're doing right now is just hooking everything up, making sure you get a max 720 line, and then going from there to see if this system is going to be able to support itself. It's relying on this system working at absolutely 100%, which you can tell it's not because it's not receiving stuff yet. So what's the problem here? Rubber. So I got to check on the rubber and make sure that we're even getting that enough. And I know this is filling up because it's manifold, and I got to make sure that this system's even going to work at full capacity before I can start moving down the line. So I'm going to get some more product to bypass this, and then I'm going to set all the screws up over here and see if everything's able to maintain running. So I'm going to do all that. It's probably going to take me about an hour, and then I'll get back with an update here in a second. All right, so we made some more changes. Oh, wow, that scared the crap out of me. I really thought the whole power grid died. That's all good. It's just a sink. So we hooked up some more of like auxiliary stuff, just some accessories, kind of made it look a little bit presentable. We are running the heavy modular, or regular modular frames from around there through a merger, through the little bit of a lift, and then underneath here. This is also our supply for 100 plates underneath there, if you can see. We're just currently dumping everything because we don't really have a use for it quite yet until we set up the manufacturers. So it's just a matter of kind of watching this like we were talking about earlier. Everything is staying green. We hooked up the rubber over there, and this is for the most part is staying at capacity, which it's a perfect number. So I'm hoping that it shouldn't be a problem. It's just gonna take a little bit. What's wrong with this one? All right, it's full. So this is a matter of getting the sink. I may have to upgrade the lines because this is just running a single Mark 1 line. It should only be producing 45, so I really don't see why there's a problem. But I'm going to see what I can get going with there. I'll just pull it out. Just make it real simple. Come on, get out of there. That way this can run. So I'm going to keep watching this and keep working on little bits and bobs around the base and kind of see what this system's going to hold up to what I need it to do. See this? This is a factory killer. This one little, like 1 meter piece is enough to shut down a whole thing just because you're not paying attention. So I'm gonna go ahead and upgrade this. Make sure you guys are looking out for stuff like this. Alrighty, so we're back in our main room in here. This is where we're going to be putting our manufacturers. I cut out the floor to kind of make it look how I want it to. This isn't how it's going to stay. We're going to be filling out the rest of it. This is just a matter of me understanding where the manufacturer would go. They should be able to sit in the middle of this. We are going to lift the floor back up, but this is all pulled out right now so we can see where we need to put flooring to actually do all this stuff underneath the base or the factory, as opposed to trying to have to run all these lines all over the place. We're going to try to make this look really, really pretty and try to put the manufacturer as a center point at the factory, as opposed to just it being a jumbled mess of 4 lines coming into one place. So we took out the manufacturers, and we're looking at a couple problems already. All this stuff underneath here is getting covered, so it won't really matter. I can maybe clean it up in my free time, but this is our first problem, because if we're going to put a manufacturer right smack in the middle of all this, and we're gonna run the lines underneath it, this is gonna be in the way. So we're gonna have to reroute all this stuff slightly over, maybe through here on the outside to kind of fix this. And then our last thing, with this being the area that we're gonna use, this has to get moved, or it has to be more compact. So right now you can kind of see it's already arching out. It's not really a good right angle. It's a little bit further out than what it needs to be. And we can actually probably cut this down to where these go underneath, merge together underneath this. But we want a walkway here, and we leave it as just a little bit of a lift just right at the end of it. That should look okay for me. And there still should be enough walking room in between here for everything to look all right. I'm still stress testing the stuff upstairs, but so far the results have been really good. I've been pulling out the materials of the manifolds just to see if it's able to catch back up and falls behind, and it's been doing really good. That's why we're moving on to the next steps. I just want to give you guys a quick update on what my plan is in here. I'm going to keep working on it, and I'll be back in a little bit. I want to give you guys a quick update here. This is what I'm shooting for. I'm not sure exactly how I feel about it, but we're going to have the 4 foundation plates converted to the coated concrete, and then we're going to wrap it around with a nice little rail because I love the rails. And I put these pillars in here to kind of break up, to make it look more special, and I might change around the lights a little bit to kind of get a more center on the actual manufacturer. The other thing that I was considering was turning this around where you can see the 4 inputs. This side, because I feel like this is the side that you're typically looking at on a manufacturer, which I may flip around. This is not hooked up to anything quite yet. Just not sure what I want to do. I just want to get a quick concept down and just what I was shooting for, so then I got a general idea. As for this catwalk here, I was thinking about wrapping it all the way around the pillars, so you can kind of get like a full 360 view over the top, as if you're like kind of up above looking down on the machine to see how it's working, to see if everything's doing properly, you know, like things that you would do in a real factory. It's kind of make this look a little bit more realistic as opposed to just, hey, we got machines in here and they do whatever. So I got these still dug out here. It'll be the same thing. It'll be, you know, 1, 2, and 3. And then we got to fix this as well. I did place some kind of fancy stuff down here, which I know I said I wouldn't do, but I did it anyway because I got a little bit distracted. I routed all this stuff, the concrete, the steel pipes, and the rubber line around this, so we're good to place whatever we need to. Down here, I use these little inverted quarter pipes, which they look really cool and it looks good. I'm probably just gonna wind up taking them out because once I start running 4 lines through here, I just think it's gonna fit very well and it's gonna cause a bunch of problems. Plus, if I have to get any splitters or anything else set up down here, I'm gonna need the space. So it's kind of just good for right now, but it's gonna probably get taken out unless I can figure out a way to keep it. So that being said, we're going to move on to, let's get rid of that real quick. We're gonna move into the final steps of getting this all set up, which is going to be routing everything over here. We're going to fix this real fast, do this underneath here, and then we should be ready to kind of set everything up and see what we can make happen. So I'm gonna start working on that, and I'll be back in a little bit. You know, I take a lot of pride in trying to make this factory look presentable, and I'm trying to share it with you guys and try to make it look like this is something that I'm good at. But you know what? Sometimes things don't work out. You know, in life, it just doesn't happen sometimes. Sometimes your mom tells you to clean your room, and instead of cleaning your room, you just take all the stuff that's on the floor and just cram it in the closet as hard as you can, and the door barely closes, and you know that if she checks the closet that everything's gonna fall out of there. But sometimes in life, that's what you gotta do, and you gotta be happy with it. Look, it's not pretty, okay? I'm not saying that it's pretty. I'm just saying that it works. I hope. I'm having some problems with the manifolds upstairs, but we're gonna pretend like those don't exist. We're gonna continue on. So I crammed just a little explanation from last clip. I have the modular frames right here, and then I have screws in the back there. That's running down through the lift from upstairs, and it comes into this debacle back here. Which, as long as you don't look at, it's not that bad. It's just, it's not that bad. We got 3 different things trying to get sorted here, and I mean, I could probably try to make this a little bit better. I think I could do better. but I'm not really holding myself to that high of a standard for something that's hidden behind a wall underneath somewhere I'm never going to be. So I think I'm going to leave it like that, and that's going to be our own little secret. Just you and me. Just our little secret. We're not going to tell anybody about it. We're just going to leave it alone, pretend like it doesn't exist. I have set up everything else. These are not pretty either because they didn't really line up right with the walls, and I don't think there is a way to make them line up with the walls. So, like I said, this is somewhere down here that I'm never going to look at, and it works. So we have all of our hookups. We have our encased steel beams, our screws, modular frames, and our steel pipes here. So this is everything that we need to actually run this, and it's just a matter of doing this 2 more times and then doing all the decorations and making it look nice and pretty, and then praying and crossing our fingers that I did all my numbers right and everything's going to be able to maintain the system. Because if it's not, I'm going to be a very, very sad person. I don't want to be sad. I want this to work first time and then never have to worry about this ever again. So I'm going to go ahead and do that and hope and pray, and I'll be back in a little bit. Alright, so we went ahead and put in the other manufacturers, and this is looking really good. We still need to fill in the floor. I put in all the pillars and the catwalks and everything, and I just want to show you guys something that we did here. So part of trying to make this look realistic is having as much organization as possible and attempting to hide stuff that's there that doesn't need to be. So like these wires, instead of trying to like have like a power pole down here and then connecting all this stuff, try to get this out of the way. I hooked it onto the walls here, the pillars, and from this side, I mean, you can't even see it at all outside of like this right here, but it almost blends in. So this kind of just tucks away and hides. If you're down there, like, yeah, you can see it, but we're just kind of glancing and walking through here. I think that looks pretty good, just kind of hiding it along here. I'm gonna have a weird little part here where it's gonna have to connect up to something, so I'll have to probably tie it in with either the power switch or one of these or something. So it's still going to show a little bit, but it's better to show just one part of it than the entire thing. So these are actually all hooked up and everything is in here. It's just a matter of making sure that we got the power to it and then making sure everything's going to stay running. So we're going to hook up the power and we're going to see what happens here in a second. Our first manufacturer is kicked on and it is running. And these two, that one's going, and then we only have this one. Come on, little buddy, and there it goes. We have 3 manufacturers running. Now it's just a matter of seeing if they can stay running and then figuring out how to get this out of here. And then close out the floor, obviously. We're not going to leave that like that. But they're running. It's set up. As far as theory goes and numbers, we have 6 heavy modular frames per minute now. And it only took us, I don't know, like 45 minutes of a video and me beating my head off the wall trying to figure out how to do math. This is nice. This feels good. One of those few moments that feel satisfactory. The other 45 minutes was just pain. Alright, so far so good. Everything is still running solid. It's all full on stuff. Doesn't look like it's running out of anything quite yet. So what we're going to do is check this out over here. I'm going to show you what I did real quick. So basically I merged these 3 lines underneath the floor and I ran them over here to what's supposed to be our storage room. Just kind of glitches through the wall and runs to the back of this, and then this is where we will fill up our heavy modular frames, and then eventually we'll throw in a sink. This doesn't fit there. Okay, that's unfortunate. We're gonna have to figure that out, or maybe we'll just pretend like it's okay. I'll probably just switch it down to a regular one, then I don't need a full chest of this. I already have another full chest of this over at the other side, so it's really not that important that we make sure it's working. So we're gonna fix that, and then I'm gonna let this run for a little bit. If I can go the next 30 minutes without having any issues, because the main problem we're having, the main concern that I am having is making sure that all this stuff doesn't shut down. This is completely full because of all these other systems were backed up with the maximum amount of stuff we could hold, and now that it's actually going somewhere, it's pulling at the rate that it should be pulling, the perfect numbers. So these numbers are full because of all the constructors and assemblers are full, but in 30 minutes to an hour, that may not be the case. So I'm just going to backtrack all the systems we did, which is like 5 different systems, and make sure that all of them have solid blue lights or green lights as opposed to yellow, because then we got problems. And if I have one problem, I got 9 problems because these can't run, at least at maximum capacity. So I'm going to do some more time checking all that, and hopefully I'll come back with some good news. And just to kind of update you guys, everything, we haven't found any problems yet, but I just want you to kind of understand what I'm looking for right now. So this is kind of the stuff I'm looking for. So these would have been completely maxed out at about 100. And right now it's hovering around 3 to 4 to 5, which I'm hoping that's just accounting for what was like the 120 line, the distance between here and the actual manufacturer. That's what I'm hoping this number is. And it looks like it's staying there. Like this one's 3 to 4 to 5. This one's 5. Kind of trying to merge. They're taking turns. But I don't want this to get to a point where this is a 0 number. Because if this is 0, then this is going to essentially run out of pipes. Because it's pulling faster than it's actually taking. But this being a 120, I'm not really worried about it. These are technically only 90 coming out of here into a 120. Or 90 steel pipes into a 120 line. So that's really not a problem. It's just a matter of how much is being taken on the other side. So I'm going to continue checking and making sure all the systems are good. And back in a second. So I know this is already a concern from earlier, but this last part of this manifold is concerning to me. It's maxed out on the heavy modular frames. The stack only goes to 50, so it technically is ahead on its work because it wasn't consuming anything down there. So all these just kind of backed up and this couldn't go anywhere. The screws are good though because it can't run, so we're actually over what it is. The reason it's not running is due to this being full and not being able to go anywhere, which is good, but at the same time I still feel like the problem just didn't go away, and I may have to acknowledge how many screws I'm actually putting in here, because I did the math like twice and I believe that it's right. Like a 270 line merged with the leftovers of this should technically run properly. And I may just do the bypass and run this up to Mark IV just to make sure that this is actually getting enough, because I do have a lot more screw production over here possible. Technically, these can produce or can supply 3 of these constructors, and I have 5 of these, so I have the capacity to run 15 screw constructors over here, which is a lot more than I'm running right now. So if I need more and I can just force it, I might have to do that. And so far, that's the only real problem I'm running into. And it's just going to be a matter of letting this run long enough to really see that it's a problem. And it's kind of an easy fix. And if that's the worst thing that we have out of all this, I can live with that. Well, that's yellow. Probably because it can't go anywhere. Yep, it's all completely full because it's having to cross over and go into this side. I may have to switch where these are merged at, or very at least put it in a resource sink to make sure that any overflow is getting out of here, because if we look at our power grid, which I was kind of identifying or checking out before the video, our max consumption is well up there. It's 6,300 now against the 5,500 that we have. So if we were to hook everything up to a resource sink, we're going to shut everything down really quickly. So I'm gonna have to address that soon. I don't really want to get into more coal power. If I have to, I have to. It's fine. But the fuel generators is what I need to be making, but it's just, it doesn't seem viable because I have to make more oil production, and I already have a lot of oil production that pretty much does nothing. And then I'm just going to wind up making more stuff to balance out the plastic and the rubber that I'm making, and then I'm going to have to get more power. And it's this vicious cycle that I don't really want to get into. And I need something like nuclear, which would be tier 3, which I still have to finish out all the stuff that I have. I have a little bit of the parts made already, but not even close to what I need to continue doing this. I'm going to let this run for a little while longer, and hopefully we'll be finishing the video here real soon. Alright, after doing some more checking of everything, I'm pretty sure we're in the clear. The only concern I do have is going to be that last manufacturer up there for the modular frames. But that's going to be something that's going to probably take me hours to do, so it's a problem. And it's something that is an easy fix, so I'm not going to freak out about it now and try to fix it. I probably should. I should be a better fixing employee and just fix the problem now, but I'm not going to, because I've worked very hard on this project and I'm satisfied with how it's working right now. So this is going to be the end of the video. It's late Sunday night, and I'm gonna try to get everything edited and try to get it uploaded because I am very late on uploading a video. But I've been working a lot, and this has been a massive, massive project, and I don't really know where to go next from here because this was such a big deal. I think I'm gonna do something simple, like more factory design, like this stuff. I like doing this. I like making everything look pretty, and makes me happy as opposed to trying to figure out which 7/8 go into 3/16, and this has been enough math for me for the day, and I'm ready to start working on a new project. So we're gonna close the book on this. Thank you guys for tuning in. Make sure you guys like, comment down below, and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next video.